Shri Thanedar, US Congressman, is joining me live. Congressman Thanedar, really appreciate your time. It's a peculiar and clearly a unique situation. Russia and the US, both praising G20 summit declaration. When we have seen the West take a very belligerent position in this ongoing war with sanctions, is this India's diplomatic dexterity that seemed to have yielded results?
Absolutely. Both President Biden and Prime Minister Modi have formed a great friendship, a great relationship. And this is the vision the two leaders have projected through their friendship, through a strong US-India relationship. And certainly, I applaud Prime Minister Modi, India's leadership. India has shown that it can lead the world, and India has shown that it can get results, get things done.
India has shown that it can get things done. But Congressman, differing viewpoints and interests were at play. How do you think a country such as ours, and you seem to have a fair understanding of what Prime Minister Narendra Modi, because you have a fair understanding of how he functions. How did India find common ground?
That is really a tribute to the leadership of Prime Minister Modi and his relationship with United States. I think in the end, he was able to get a language that was acceptable to Russia, a language that was acceptable to China and rest of the G20. That was not a small feat. That was a big achievement. And G20 is all about economic progress. It's all about collaboration between countries to achieve economic well-being of the people. And to that extent, the various resolutions that were passed, agreements that were made, the bilateral agreements that happened, all of that is a great credit to the leadership of Narendra Modi ji, and I'm really excited. They could have walked out of this without an agreement. That was very likely. And instead, very first day, they were able to get the Delhi agreement out. And I think this was a very, very successful conference that put India on the world stage.
Analysts, in fact, are saying that Xi Jinping's decision to stay away from this weekend's group of 20 summit may have been intended to deny India its moment. Instead, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with the US, the Europe, figured out how to more effectively counter China on the world stage. And today it is China which stands isolated. Is this style of diplomacy, which is something also working in US, in the interest of United States?
Absolutely. China is a huge threat. Their unfair trade policies, their unfair labor policies, their human rights issues, all of that is of concern. China's military aggression, the maps that they have published, encroaching on other nations, all of this aggressive behavior need to be stopped and need to be challenged. And China have to play ball with the rest of the world. And what this example shows is that if China doesn't want to play ball, if China doesn't want to cooperate, then they will be isolated, because a union of India and the United States is going to be so powerful that China could be isolated if they don't play fair.
And Mr. Thanedar, you have a special cultural connect with India. In terms of symbolism, let's talk about it while we have discussed the substantive part. Konark Wheel from Orissa being the backdrop for the welcome handshake of all leaders, the culture corridor, the gala dinner showcasing the diverse musical heritage from all across India. In terms of symbolism, it was more than just substantive part. It was also a diplomatic spectacle.
Yes.
And would you agree that every aspect was chosen very carefully?
Yeah, it was very well done. Even though India is only a democracy for 75 years, India has a ancient tradition. And that was highlighted. Even highlighting Bharat, I thought that was a masterpiece. Focusing on the rich tradition of India, the food of India, the music of India, all of that was highlighted here, along with its modernization, the digital modernization that India has achieved, the world leadership that India has achieved, an ability for India to coordinate such an event very, very successfully. All of that goes a long way to show India has arrived. This is the moment that says loud and clear to the world, India has arrived. And as a U.S. congressman, I feel that I want to work towards much stronger ties. U.S. and India, the oldest and the largest democracies, in my opinion, ought to be closer together. And that can only be achieved through a trusting and a respectful relationship between the two countries. Both countries need to respect each other, respect each other's culture, respect each other's viewpoints, and have a fair and open relationship. And that's what we are going to have. That's what I want to work on.
The point that you make is perhaps the headline for us, that India has arrived, is what Congressman Shri Thanedar says. In terms of substantive part, again, the European Union, the US backing trade corridor, linking Europe, Middle East and India. And President Joe Biden has described ambitious rail and sea plan to counter China's Belt and Road Project, the BRI, as a really big deal. This certainly is also helping Joe Biden in US, domestic constituency.
Absolutely. I think both of these leaders have important elections coming up in 2024. And, they both are extremely skilled and experienced both of them are in politics, in leadership for a long, long time. And both have shown the level of maturity, the experience that they have, the vision that they have, and how all of that can be implemented, without conflict. This G20 could have been a disaster. With the Ukraine war, with China's non-cooperation, with Russia's non-cooperation, this G20 could have been a disaster. And it was only, and instead it became a huge success. The economic corridor between India and Middle East and Europe, I think that's a masterpiece, and that's going to go a long way in terms of building wealth, in terms of creating, improving people's lives, in terms of economic collaboration and economic growth. The biofuel is also a masterpiece. There is a number of things that got accomplished, but one of the accomplishment I want to really be proud of, I represent Detroit, Michigan, that is 78% African American, and getting that African Union to be the newest permanent member of G20. Now it's G21. That really was, to me, the highlight of this conference.
All right, Shri Thanedar, appreciate your time. Always a pleasure to speak to you and get your perspective on these key issues. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts.